I'm Sara Pugh Montgomery, one of the pastors here at Boston Avenue United Methodist Church. Actually, I grew up as a preacher's kid, so I was in the International Church of Christ, and my dad was a preacher. So I grew up with no women in ministry because it was not allowed. And so later on, we left that denomination, ended up landing in the Methodist Church much later on. And that was my first time experiencing women in ministry. And so I went into college thinking I was going to be a pharmacist because I really liked getting to know people and getting to journey with them. And I liked ministry and loved the work of ministry, but thought that would just be my fun thing to do. So it was just later on within my time frame that I started to realize, no, ministry was actually one of my callings, and that organic chemistry and anatomy and physiology were not my callings within the work that I was supposed to be doing with the world. Fortunately for me, I moved into ministry after about 40 years of women being ordained. And so my second cousin was actually my mentor in ministry, and she was one of the first graduates. Well, probably wasn't the first graduate. She'd be very mad at me if I ever said that about her. But she was early on within ordination process. So had gotten ordained in the early 80s and graduated from Duke Seminary in the early 80s. So was much more of a pioneer within that process. And so I got to learn a lot from her. And then my campus minister was also a woman. And so getting to learn a lot from her about being part of the first as well within the Virginia Annual Conference. So because there had been so many women that had paved the way for women like myself, it wasn't as challenging to get into the ministry. Sure, yeah, and that was so fascinating. So it was 7 years ago, and I was an associate pastor at this church in Virginia. I was following a older white male, and so and it was the first time they'd ever had a female in clergy leadership. And so my organist commented one day about how interesting it was to be able to hear my heels, because it was the first time that heels had ever been kind of clacking on the slate as I was walking up to the pulpit. And what was really intriguing about that space is that, some folks were, even though women had been in ministry for many years, some folks were still kind of a little uneasy about having a woman as their minister. So while they might be like, yeah, women should be in ministry, they were like, but should they be ours? And so later on, one of the women actually talked with me about her hesitation with having me as her pastor. So she was a single woman, a nurse anesthetist, and was a very strong woman, a very confident woman, was in her late 40s, and she had never experienced a woman within ministry. And so she told me that it took her about 6 months to be able to get used to having a female in leadership, even though she was a female in leadership within her own field. And so it's always a little fascinating. And I was very grateful that she stayed and didn't leave. There were folks who left because I came on the pastoral role. And there were folks that left my church out in Coweta because I was a female as well. But one of the other really great funny stories was when I was there initially, and somebody came walking into my office, and it was the first time they met me. And they kind of stepped back and they said, "Oh my gosh, you're young and you're a female." And I said, "Well, yeah, the female part won't change, but I'll get older each day." So it's always been, to be the first within being a female in ministry, you just have to have some grace for folks, and you have to have a little bit of humor that goes with it, but also a good amount of confidence in knowing that this is where God has called you to be. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing to be able to celebrate. I think that there are so many strides that have been taken within women's history, and being able to see the ways that that women have been able to grow within their workforce and the ways that they are able to call themselves within the world. But within the church, I just wanted to continue to remind all women that You don't have to take the standard role of being the nurturer or, the Sunday school teacher to the kids, that you are also called to be a part of, redoing the plumbing on the mission trips and, doing the hard stuff, being the finance chair and being able to take over those roles that are usually seen as male roles. And that the more that we really just see folks as folks that have gifts from God rather than their specific gender, I think the more that we'll be able to be a better church together.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.